Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. And here we are now with part 3 of this beautiful rifle model M109A7 Paladin. Bought for me by the lovely John Alec from over in the other side of the waters in America land. And he got this kit for me and had it sent over. So thank you very much, John. So part 2, we basically got all our suspension together, and then we worked mainly on the hull, and we got all the hatches and the greeblies and the bits and pieces. Off camera, I've gone on and done this rear door. The reason I did it off camera was because of the fiddly bits of photo etch here, and you know, fiddly bits of photo etch on camera aren't very interesting to watch. This little toolbox thing here, I know in John's video he made an issue of having it flush against the back. I've left it proud because I've got a feeling that's how it should be. I don't know, but at least you'll be able to tell whose models if they ever end up next to each other, eh? Which isn't going to happen. So we've done all of this, and now in part 3 there are still some parts outstanding. If you're building one of these and you follow the instructions by the book, then you will know that there's bits and pieces like the rear mudguards are missing, the front mudguards are missing, we've got some rubber here is missing, tracks aren't done yet, I'm not even sure what tracks I'm going to use, but basically the lower hull is pretty much complete other than a couple of bits and pieces. Idlers, I never do idlers on my tanks or howitzers until I've got the tracks, so I can actually turn the idler and get the track exactly to the right tension. Otherwise you generally find that the track's either too tight and it's like, or it's too loose and it's just sagging down like a tiger. So basically now we've moved on from all the lower hull now, that's all done, and now we're on to the I guess you call it the turret. Is it the turret? So yeah, so first things first, we're working on this mantlet or this breech, and then we're going to get that all fitted into the actual main turret itself. We've got some holes to drill, but you don't drill all 4 of them, you only drill 2 of them, depending on which gun you're going to use. I may not drill any of them because I haven't decided yet. I think it's for the gun. I think those holes are for the guns, aren't they? I remember from doing the review, yeah, we've got this really complex looking thing here, and then here's the simple one. But whatever, we can drill all 4 of them, fill them, whatever. Best way to fill holes, if you haven't done anything like this before, take a sprue. Where's a sprue attachment point where I've removed something? I haven't really got what I'm looking for here. But if you've got a sprue gate with a small tab left on it, like here, okay, if you put some extra thin on the end of there and then force it into the hole and then leave it to dry, cut it off, sand it flat, you'll never know it was ever there. So there we go. Right, so let's get our parts out, get them all cut off, get them ready, and then we'll look at the assembly of step 10. Okay, all the parts off, all cleaned up, ready to do this whole step 10. So that's good. So we've got our breech here, and we need to make sure we've got the right way up. So it's that way up. We can see on the instructions we've got a square lug there, and there's a square lug there. So we'll keep that up there. So we'll start off with B11, which is this simple little round part. Now I'm not sure if any of this is going to be visible on the finished model. I don't think it is. But we'll try and do it nicely anyway, just in case. And then after we've built it, you'll be able to see whether you actually need to do this on yours or not. So we've got, there's that one there. Okay, so this one here, we've got a sort of arch shape. You can see that it's like an arch window. I've got one of those on my landing, and it won't go in the wrong way round. So basically that's going to go in there. So that's part of the recoil, that's B40. Put a drop of cement in from behind, and that'll capillary into there and get that glued in. And then we've got B41. Now I'm not sure here which was B41 and which was B39. Silly me. It looks like B39 is possibly the shorter one. Oops. Yeah, I think it is the shorter one because hang on a minute, let's have a look at this. B40, sorry, B9 is going to go on the end of there. So that's got a little hole and a big hole. So we'll just put some cement on there and let that pillory in. And then I'm not putting B41 in until I know which is B41 and B39, because one is shorter than the other. They both have the same size lugs as well, so it's not like they won't fit in each other's positions. So I should have made a note of which is which, but they are, you can see there that one is shorter. Oh no, they are pretty much the same length. Let's have a look anyway, let's carry on. Right, so down here we've got B14A, there's this little part here, you find that on the B sprue. And that's going onto there, and it's got that keyhole shape so that you get it the right way round. So that's going on like that. Okay. And then we've got B35, which is here, this little spindly part. And then that is going into, with it turned over, that is going into that hole there. Just like so. Okay, and then we've got B39 and B41 now, which is which? Neither of them are like the drawing, because in the drawing they have this like a clamp on them. But they do look to be, they are the same length, so let's just glue them in. We put a drop of cement in there, we'll glue one in there, glue the other one in there, and if it's wrong we'll just swap them over. And then that one's going in there. Like that. I must admit guys, I have never seen a kit as good as this ever in my life for mould seams. This thing is absolutely amazing on the mould seam front. There's hardly anything there at all. And then this is going to go onto the end of those two parts there, and that little tiny thin shaft is going to pick up in that hole. You can see there's a hole there, sort of at 1 o'clock. So that's going to go into that hole eventually. Come on, put it that way a bit. Well, that's easier said than done, blimey. Go on, go in. Bloody thing. There we go. Right. So drop of cement on there. Drop of cement on there. And a drop of cement on there. There we go. That's that in. So that's our recoil mechanism by the look of it. All glued. I'm not sure if we're going to see any of that. But there we go. So you can see that's how it goes. We've got this hole down here, and that B39 and B41, they look to be identical, so that's all good. Right, and then we've got to fit the side plates on. So we've got B57, B58, we've got our two poly caps, and we've got this piece here, F9, that's going to hold it all together. So we've got a poly cap going on there, we've got a poly cap going on there, looks like they've got a bit of friction in them, which is good. And then we've got B57 is on this side, and this is going that way up, so that's going on to there. It looks like it's probably best to put the poly caps in here first. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Put the poly caps into these parts and then slide them on. Just like that. There we go. Okay, so that's gone on like that, and then we've got this piece here, F9, which is going, so that's like that, and that's going to go on like that and sit in those two notches. So we'll put some cement in there, and we'll put some cement in there. And we'll just play with that for a second, just wiggle it about until it's all nice and true and you've got good contact in all areas. Like that. That's good. Okay, and then what we'll do is get this glued into the turret before that gets a chance to dry, in case it's got any twist it or anything. So we can see here that we have, this is going in with that part at the bottom, so this is actually going in like that. And we've got flats on here, we've got pegs on here. It's all going to sort of just drop in of its own accord and fit beautifully. Look at that. That is wonderful. Okay, so we can get some cement across there. And then we'll get some cement down in here. And another large drop down in there. Okay, and I'm going to put some in there as well. And I'm going to put some in there. Alright, so we'll just hold that into our turret and then just check. Yeah, we can move the gun. It's got a lovely bit of resistance on as well, so that's good. So our barrel's not just going to be dropping all the time. Although saying that, this one's going to be in its travel lock. So there we are. Right. We could also drop a cement in there and there as well. Okay, so that's that. There was a sprue in here, so cut that out and file it up and everything. And then here we've got this back plate going on the turret. So that's like a chamfered fit, so we should get a nice gap-free edge on there. I think this is going to need taping because it's not, you can see the shape of the turret doesn't match the angles on this back end. So what I'm going to do is we'll grab these bits of tape again. These are the same pieces we used on the hull. This is the orange Mr. Hobby tape from Brooks Models. It's absolutely fantastic stuff for assembly work. There we go, excuse me, that was my stomach rumbling. Okay, I'm going to undo this bit of tape because it's actually pulled down. You can see that we need to pull this side out. Okay, so that wants to just keep pulling down, does it? So we need another couple of bits of tape. So we get a bit on there, pull that up. And then we'll get a bit on here. Pull that side up. And there we are, that's it all taped in place beautifully. So what we've got to do now is, once again, just like we did with the hull, we use our extra thin quick setting and just put a little drop in a couple of little areas just to try and tack it into place without going mad and getting it going under the tape. So I think this back end is going to be all covered in anyway, so what we're going to do is put a drop in there. Whoa, way too much. Then we'll put a drop in there. Then we'll put a drop in there. Just another bit in those corners. There we go. I think what I'm going to do is get the actual base plate that we're going to fit in the next stage. I think I'm going to get this off the sprue just to quickly check the fit, because I don't want that to dry and then discover that we can't fit this in. Those rear corners are going to be quite important. So using our God hands properly to get the sprue gates as good as we can get them. There we are. Just clean that up. And then I'm going to tip this over. And as you can see, just like the rest of the kit, that fits absolutely beautifully. That's fine. Right, okay. So there we are. We'll make sure these corners are nice and then just leave that to dry. In fact, it's quite late at night now, guys. It looks like I might have got some cement on here. It's stuck. It's okay now. There we go. So there we are. Be a little bit careful with how much cement you put in there. I've obviously put some in the wrong place and managed to get it glued. Looks like it was there. It was there. So be careful when you put the cement on here. Don't flood it like I did. All right. So there we go. So that's step 10 done. We've got this piece to go on here. In fact, I may as well glue it on now. It's not going to cause us any issue. So when it's upside down, this piece is going that way up. Not quite sure what it is. There we go. So that's that. Now these holes here, I'll be able to get in and draw those after I've put this bottom on, so I'm not going to worry about drawing them now. I'm probably going to use the more complex gun because it looks sexy. Right. I'm not sure which gun they've got on the front of the instructions. Yeah, they've got the snazzy one there, look. And yet in these drawings they've got the plate, the ordinary little small one. So there we go. Right, so that's step 10 done. So we can go in, and don't really need to do this because we've done everything. I only really do this when there's parts that I haven't done. So it becomes quite obvious what's going on. In fact, we could go on and glue this in now. Get rid of that ejector tab there. Okay, So we could go on and just glue this in now. Such an amazing fit. It's going to need taping and tacking, the same as the back, same as the hull. So we'll get on with that. Just tape and tack, tape and tack. And then I'll come back to it in the morning. Morning for me, a few seconds for you. Yeah, we'll pull that in there as well. And let the tacks dry, and then tomorrow morning we'll get it glued in properly. This tape goes such a long way, it's absolutely brilliant. Last piece, it's almost like I cut off as many pieces as I needed and no more. There we go. So you can see that's all pulled in lovely. We need something else there. I've got a piece of ordinary Tamiya tape here. Hopefully that'll be good enough. So we'll pull that over. Get rid of that little gap in the corner. Not that it really matters, it's underneath. So now we can just come in with our extra thin quick setting and put in some tacks. Try and stay away from the tape. Just like so. There we go. Some in there. And some in there, and we'll do some holding with these. I'll put some in that corner as well. Gotta get some in that corner as well, and just keep this all pushed together. That's the beauty of using the quick setting. You see, you hold it for hardly any time at all. It just stays put. So what I'll do after here, I'll go around with this Mr. Surfacer and then remove the excess with a cotton bud, because we've got tiny little gaps on those plates in those corners there. But literally, I mean, they're probably filling up now with cement and anyway, so they probably don't need any Mr. Surfacer at all. So there we go. Drop in there and hold that together. As you can see, it's that quick. You don't need to be hanging around for ages waiting for stuff to dry. And there we are. Right, leave that to dry overnight. Let's just have a look at how it's going to look. Ooh, it's one of those. It clips on. So once you've put it on, you can't get it off by the look of it. Ah, that's worth remembering. It's got those little barbs on there, look. There's some flash on there as well. That's why it didn't clip in, because there's some flash. There we go. Oh, it does come off, that's okay then. It clips on and it clips off. It might only be clipping off because we've got the tape on there. There we go. The size of the thing, it's huge. Look, there's my hands. It's got all those big baskets to go on the back of there yet, which will be hanging over the back. It's bloody good looking. I love the Paladins. I've got the old AFV Club, the Israeli one, and it's very nice, but it's all a bit floppy and it's not as nice as this. Of course, it's a completely different vehicle as well. Right, so I'm going to call that a day for this little bit, and I'll see you back in a few seconds. And we're back. So this is the next day now, and as you can see, I've gone round with Mr. Surfacer, dealt with all these seams, put some extra glue in, and I've also had the I've done a review of an airbrush from Galeri. So I've gone in and just done some bits and pieces here. I've gone round here to check the seam around the back there. I've sprayed in behind those headlights. I've actually sprayed the backs of the lights and everything as well. And then just to use the paint and the airbrush, I just started going around here to see what's going on. So that's all dealt with. So now we can move on to here. We have A1, which is the hatch. So we've got the hatch base here, which is F3. And we have this tiny little part here. I'm going to use my, these are my brand new God Hand PS SH tweezers, and they're bloody awesome. And they're from, they come from Brooks Models as well. So yeah, they're really, really nice. They have flat ground ends, which is a nice touch. It makes them extremely controllable, and they're absolutely brilliant for decals. If you haven't seen it, go and see my Sopwith Camel instrument panel when I use them on there. They work really, really well. There we go, that didn't want to go in there. It was my fault for not dry fitting it first. So that's gone in there, so that's E65, and then we've got E62 and E63. So that's going that way like that. Okay, and then this is going to glue onto the hatch and trap that part in there. So I'm just going to put a drop of cement in there and give that a nudge down. There we are, and then we can put this in position. We've got the little square lug on that part E37. We've got to make sure that's facing downwards. So we'll put that pin in the hinge there, we'll put that hinge into there, and then close it down and make sure that hinge is in the correct orientation here to get that down properly. There we go. Right. So a drop of cement on there. We'll drop in there, just hold that in. And then we will put a drop in there just to hold that hatch down. Hatches can stay down on this one. Around this hatch there is a series of bolts. You can see them in the instructions there. And there's a seam line, so I just went in and scraped it gently and then went in with extra thin just to clean up. So that's my little tip for getting those done. So that's our hatch done, so that's A1. I haven't bothered with the handle inside, there's absolutely no point. And then here we've got this part B29, and that's going that way up. And we've got this little part here, B1, and as you can see, what I've done for ease of handling, I've left it on the sprue and cut a lump of the sprue away. So that is basically going to go into that hole there, horizontally. So there's a little tiny indentation in there. So what we'll do is we'll put a tiny little drop of extra thin there, and then we can push that into that hole. Just like so. And then we'll cut the sprue gate off, leaving there's a little block on there. It's like a little switch. You can see on there, a little block is left behind. So we'll just give that a little twist, get it square. So that's A2 done. So we turn the page, and now we have, first of all, we have this major unit here. This is the gun cover, so I'm thinking this is going to have to be painted inside as well. So we have B56 here, and we have B36, which is this little strip. So that's a bit weird because oh yes, I couldn't see the pins, probably because I'm old and blind. So that's going, which way round is it going? That's a bit awkward. You see, this is where the instructions don't help. We have two holes in here, which, as you can see, are offset to that side. So I'm assuming this is going to go this way round, like that. Drop of extra thin, just give it a tap. That's gone down, and then we've got the side piece here. There was a couple of Z pins here, ejector pins sticking out, so I got rid of them. So that's going to go onto there like that, and this front is going to fit onto there like that. So I think what we'll do, wow, this is going to be very, very difficult to do. The problem here is getting the, I'll use some quick setting and just try and little tack there, little tack there. And then grab this one. So you've got some tiny little hinges on here that are going to go into these tabs on here. And then we've got those little location pins inside. I'll show you in a second. Right, so yeah, we've got these little hinges here that have to go in, and then we've got these two tiny little tabs inside here that are going to go into those blocks. So we'll get some extra thin quick setting into there. We'll get some in there so it's a nice strong unit. There we go. Not sure just how seamless this is meant to be. I'll have to look at some references. I would imagine that shouldn't be a seam there. And this is basically going to go onto here. Okay, so there's like a little lug there you can see sticking out, almost looks like a sprue gate. That's going to go into that rectangular slot on the top. And then we've got two little semicircular, there's one, sorry, like a little crutch there. And that's going to sit on top of that recoil. So that's how that's going to go in there like that. Okay, but first of all we're going to spray the inside of that. So there we go, and we've also got on the front, we've got this tiny little piece C29 here, which is a tiny little handle, but I'm not going to put that in yet because we're going to be going around and dealing with seams, I think. Just want to make sure it's nice and strong so that when we do come to start sanding it and pulling it about, then it doesn't just fall apart on us. There we go. It was quite an awkward little assembly, that, to be honest. But, does look very nice. Okay, so moving forward, that little piece there, what I'm going to do is grab a piece of masking tape, pick that little handle up, and I'm going to stick that inside there. That way we won't lose it. Right, so looking on here, we've got inside here we've got B50, so this part here is going to go on that way up. But first of all, we've got this lifting eye, whatever it is, so we may as well put that in place, and then a couple of drops of cement in from behind, that will hold that in, and then that's going to go into here up against the side like so. I do wish they'd give us some examples of how this should all fit. Oh, look at that, way too much cement on the top there. As I've said before, if you do that, see that big bubble of cement on there? Don't touch it. The trouble is I've got a new bottle of Tamiya Extra Thin, and I'm not used to it. Every time I put the brush in, it comes out, it's absolutely saturated in glue. I'm used to, as you know, I'm fighting with trying to get some on there. Okay, so that's that in place. And then we've got, I'm not sure if I'm going to have to do any seam work here. Just run a brush full down there. There we go. And then we've got some little pieces, well, this piece across the back here. So this is going to go on and sit there like that. So that is like a gusset sort of thing. So I'll hold that in place, get some cement down in there, and then run some along there. Now this hatch A1 is going to go on here, so we've got two pins going into those front holes, and we've got a recess that it's going to sit in there. So that's all very nice. So what we'll do here is drop of cement there, drop of cement there. Can't find the holes, guys. There we go. And that slits little, easy for you to say, that sits slightly up. You can see it's slightly raised. So I'm just going to put a drop of cement on the inside there. A drop on the inside there, that will hold that in place. Remember, we can still get in here to do our drilling if we have to, or when we have to, depending which way we go. So there we are, so that's that in, that hatch. And then we've got A2, which was this piece here with that tiny little button on it, and that's going to go into there, like so. So that's going to sit in there, like that. Get a drop of cement in here from behind. Just like that. There we go, that's that in there, and then this part here, E25, is going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's going in there with its clearance for the hatch. Make sure the back end goes down, so the top edge is flush. So that's gone in there like that, that's good. And then we've got, I've put this part here, B12 was an absolutely tiny little round part, so I've put that on already. B31 is going to sit, it's going this way round and it's going to sit in there like that. And we're back. Right, sorry, the battery ran out and I was fitting these parts and I just went on. So we've got the 3 parts here. They're what the jerry cans are going to sit on. So they're going to sit on there like that. Okay, and they're going to be strapped in. And then we've got the, I put the lifting eyes in there, the little bracket thing, whatever it is in there. And I don't think there's anything else I put on. But there you go. So I had the bits I wanted to get them on because a lot of them were tiny and they would get lost. So looking at these photo etch parts, we've got a little bunch of photo etch parts around here, and a couple here. So I've got them all off, okay, and they sort of go from left to right and down. So up here we've got Y16. Now with these I've had a look and it does look like they're designed so that they bend into the fold. Okay, now unfortunately good old RFM, they haven't given us any indication of how they're supposed to be bent. In fact, I've just thought I'm going to go and look at some references and see, because you know we've basically got this piece of flat photo etch. You can see we've got 2 scribes there, and then we've got a scribe there, which means it's going to be end up like an S section. But is it supposed to be bent 90? I mean, this is what's happening. We're getting these pictures like this. So is it 90 degrees? Does the end close up with that end, or what does it do? I haven't got Y30 off either, have I? Let me go and get Y30 off and go and have a look at some reference pictures, and then I can come back and tell you what I found. So it looks like these things are just brackets for tools. I didn't get that part off D30. For the newer ones out there, I always leave one side of the plastic on the photo etch, or sometimes I leave both on. So, oh, I have got 30 off. I have got 30 off, it's there on its own. Right, so I'm going to use the tweezers to bend. I can't really see from the images I've got how these are supposed to look. But basically what I've done, you can see I've sanded the back where it's going to be glued. So I'm just going to use my tweezers to bend. So we'll start with that one and we'll bend that one up. And then we can turn it over here and bend this side down, just like so. And then that end could go in. It looks like they're just rests for tools or something. So I really wish, if anyone from Right-Field Model is watching this, what you need to do is give us a diagram of how it's supposed to look, sort of end on, so we can see the kind of angle it's supposed to be. Because I can't see anything from that, it's just rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. So yeah, they need to sort their instructions out. Okay, so that's that one done, and then this one is basically the opposite. So we're going to bend that one up there like that, and then we're going to bend that one like that. There we go, and then we're going to bend this one in like that. So then we've got 2 pairs and they're sort of handed. Okay, so there we go. So there's our 16 and our 17. So what we'll do now, we'll just check the fit. In fact, I'm going to get my little Golan tweezers because they're so much better than those cheapies. So this one is 17, and that is going to go on those 2 pins. Oh dear. That's going to go on those 2 pins there. And it fits a treat. So what we can do is put a drop of the VMS super glue on there. This is VMS 4PE. Alright, probably put a little bit too much on there. I'm just going to remove some. And then we'll stick that into there, just like so, on those 2 pins. Give it a little push down. and then it looks like a metal bracket, and the 2 pins become the fixing bolts. There we go. Kind of, yeah, it looks like it needs to be bent out a bit more because that little top section there is stopping it. I'm going back against the face. So yeah, make sure that it's bent. So this needs to come out a touch. Just go up there, so that it's not, so that end face there is not pushing the thing away. Now I'm going to trust the fit of that first part. I'm just going to glue this one without test fitting it, and that one's going there. Like so. Okay, so they can sit there and dry. And then here we've got Y21 and Y22. So these are going to be folded, and they do look like 90 degrees. I think these are all just brackets for holding tools on or something. So this one is Y21, and that one's going to go on those 2 holes there. Right. So drop of the old super juice on there. Yes, that way round. Let's go on like that, and then this one that's going around that way like that. Oops. And we can take this one and, oh dear, dear, dear. I'm not used to these tweezers. They take quite a lot of effort to pinch in. So you've got to sort of keep your hands tight on them. And then this one's going, where's this one going? I've done that wrong. Okay, so this one, you see how good this super glue is now. I can't pull that off. Let's try and get something under there. Look at that, I can't get that off. I could get the glue remover out, the debonder, but I really don't want to because it leaves like a, oh dear, I'm going to have to. That is really glued on there well. Okay, let me get the, this is the super glue debonder. It's got this massive great brush in there, so I'm just going to put a tiny drop on there. Make sure it's got underneath it. That's the VMS again, that's available from Brooks Models as well. Pretty much everything you see me use is available from Brooks Models. And then let's let that do its thing and then see if we can pull it off. And then I've successfully managed to glue this one to my cutting mat. Dear, 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 what are we doing, IJ? So I'll let this do its thing, and then because what it is, I'm looking at the instructions and I saw that one there. And they're showing that one already in place, and this one should have gone at the back there, down the back there. Back in a sec. All right, we got there in the end. You're not going to believe this. I actually ended up gluing the one that should go there over there. So they've got little dimples in them. I don't know if you can see that little dimple down in there, but the dimple should be down low, and I had it up high. So I had to debond that one as well. So that's, so they're in now. So, okay, so 30. Y30 is this little one here on his own. So I've sanded it which side have I sanded it? I think I've sanded the, yeah, I've sanded the back side. So this one is going to go over like that at 90, and then over like that at 90. I know you probably can't see what I'm doing, but you will be able to in a minute. Just like that. And there we go. So that's that one. And that's going to go, I'm foolishly gluing it before I've even test fitted it. But that one is going to go on that little solitary pin there. And it's decided it would rather stick to the tweezers because that's what they do, isn't it? Oh, you complete and utter swine. There we go. Okay, so that's all that is just a right-angled bent over bracket. As I say, I think these are all like tool clamps or something. I hope we get plastic locations as well, because if we're just hanging tools on these, they're not going to stay there for long. Right then, so we've got to look at now at these brackets here. These are, that's annoying, I've got debonding fluid on my tweezers. Let's just wipe that off. Okay, so yeah, what we're going to do here is, so that one's going that way, that one's going that way, it needs to be 90 degrees, and then that's going over there like that. Should have done the inner one first, and then that's going over there like that. And then what we're looking at here is a little, like a little corner bracket with two little 90-degree flanges on it. So hopefully we can hold that in there. I'm just going to give it a gentle press down on the mat to make sure that those two flanges are level. And then I'm going to put a drop of glue on each of those two flanges, like so. And then these are going to go, this one's going to go that way up. So that one's going to there. I knew I should have test fitted these first. That's not going to fit with that other bracket in the way. Yes, it is. There we go. There's that little bracket there. It's just like a little, if you could imagine, a little sort of corner bracket that you would drop a sort of placard down into or something. I'm just pushing them down to make sure they're all square and 90 degrees. That's cool. So I'll do the same with this one, and then I'll come back. Okay, there we go, all done. So you can see all those bits of Photo-etch are on. I put those two on as well, and I also made up this bracket which is from like 2 steps forward, and that's where the axe and everything sits down in. So I put that on now just because I had the super glue there ready. So that super glue 4PE from VMS is absolutely amazing stuff. You saw the effort I put into trying to pull that piece off just now, so it shows just how good it is compared to and that was after only 10 minutes. They reckon it reaches its full effect in 24 hours, so in fact it wasn't even 10 minutes, was it? But there we go. So all of this is fitted up now, all ready to go, all looking good. So just going to square that one up a bit there. Looks like that one's sort of bent in a touch. I'm just going to pull it out a bit. There we go, that's better. Maybe I went a bit too far. That's the beauty of this glue, it's so good you can pull the brass piece around after you've glued it on. So yeah, that was the VMS for 5KCA 4PE. So it is very, very good. You don't. It's not just for PE. You could use it for anything. I use it on lots and lots of stuff. What I generally do is use that for tacking stuff in, because it's sort of like a gel. It will hold small parts, like these little tiny brackets on here. It will hold those little tiny parts, and then just tap it with a bit of the X teeth in afterwards, and that will penetrate any gaps or anything that are there, and that'll work really well. I should imagine it would work well on things like ships' railings, where you just put a couple of spots on the railing, position it, get it down, and then off the edge of a knife blade just run some thin along to make sure it's glued. There we go. Having never done ships' railings, I don't feel free to comment. So I'm looking at my image of the on Wikipedia of this vehicle, and this area here is completely different. So there were obviously variations, but all these little round bits here, you can see they're all for the straps. We're going to be plastering this in tools and everything, and I'm sure it'll be the same on this side as well. So I'm going to call it a day there for a minute, and then I'll come back and see you for the next segment. All right, so I'm going to go and have a shower and a shave and make myself feel a bit better.